Welcome back to PCG Productions. I'm Austin, and I'll be giving you my initial review of Call of Duty Modern Warfare. I want to stress to you guys that these are just my impressions and personal thoughts on the game, and in no way is this my final review. Remember, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more content like this. Without further ado, let's get into the video.
I ran him over!
So I'm sure everybody's big question right now is, does the game suck? Is Modern Warfare better or worse than what we saw in the beta? The quick answer is no, the game doesn't suck, but it's not the greatest Call of Duty ever. The long answer is more complex, which is why I will be detailing all of my first impressions in this video. So first off, how does the game feel? From a pure connectivity standpoint, the game feels good. The lag seems to be at a minimum, which is fantastic, much improved from what we saw in the beta. But then the time to kill in this game is fast, especially when headshots are involved, and especially when you compare it to Black Ops 4. It's night and day. It definitely feels more similar to Modern Warfare games in that respect. While the time to kill might feel like a classic Modern Warfare game, the game itself doesn't feel like traditional Call of Duty. With how the maps are designed and how the weapons perform, it feels much more like a Battlefield game. Whether or not that's a good thing is really up in the air at the moment. And the last 2 years in COD have felt like polar opposites. Black Ops 4 was an extremely arcadey shooter. You could just zip around the map as quickly as you wanted, time to kill was super slow, manually healing yourself, and you could reload while sprinting. It was so fast. Now on the flip side, we have another extreme with Modern Warfare. It is by far the slowest COD game ever. Like, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but if you play free-for-all, no one ever gets a 30 kills. Typically the winner of the game has 18 to 24 kills. It's actually insane. And this is due to a multitude of factors, including slower sprinting than we're accustomed to. You mantle over walls and windows slower, maps are a bit bigger, way more elevation in this game, and by way more, I mean way more elevation. And there aren't a lot of perks that can help you pick up the pace. It just feels a lot slower and more tactical. So you already know that your default sprint speed is slower than other CODs. So if you want something as simple as a grip or extended mags on your weapon, you know it's going to slow you down even more. Then the footsteps are so loud in this game, even my deaf grandma can hear it. And the minimap works really strangely. Red dots don't even appear on the map if you shoot a non-suppressed weapon. And then the minimap is smaller than it has been in previous CODs, meaning even if you get a UAV or personal radar, you won't be able to see the map as well where the red dots are because it's so small. And then on top of that, the ghost perk works even if you're not moving. This creates a meta where rushing is punished. The end result from this is way slower gameplay than we're used to. You might be watching my gameplay in the background thinking, you're barely moving, dude. But honestly, that's just the game this year. If you move from your position of advantage, you're opening yourself up to be killed by someone crouching in a window, lying prone in the corner. Then it puts your whole team at a disadvantage because you lost your position of strength because you wanted to rush. In this game, you either die the rusher or live long enough to see yourself become the camper. But map control in this game is way more important than raw gun skill or twitch reflexes or anything else like that. That's why this game isn't like any other COD. When the other team has full map control, it feels like you can't do anything. Spawns pretty much are set in stone in this game, so you keep spawning in the same location over and over again, and the other team is just aiming down sights waiting for you to make a move. I don't think this is a good design philosophy for a multiplayer game. When you're on the receiving end of this map control style of play, it's really not fun. I can attest to this fully. It is really not fun. This is the old school COD mentality of spawn trapping, but to a whole nother level. Now I'm going to give you guys a quick tip on how to level up faster and unlock items in multiplayer. You're going to do this by activating your multiplayer challenges in your barracks. I'm going to bring this up on screen now so you guys can see how to activate them. But for doing some of these missions, you can unlock variants of guns you may not even have access to yet. And because you have that variant, you can now use that weapon even though you haven't unlocked the base variant yet. So just look at this multiplayer challenge, for example, this mission Boot Camp. You can see the Piercer variant, that's an MP7. And you don't unlock that till like level 40 something. But because you completed these Boot Camp challenges, you can now use the MP7. You can't level up your gun, but still a pretty nice feature to have. Now let's move over to the multiplayer maps themselves. My initial impressions of the maps are that none of the maps are very good. They're pretty mediocre in general. I do find it odd how so many of the maps are mode specific. Some are made for 2v2, 6v6, 10v10, and 32v32. It makes the maps feel very limited in each game mode, meaning that if you want to get a bigger variety of maps, you're going to have to expand your horizons on the game mode you play. And now back in the beta, I said I was calling that Azir Cave was going to be the worst map in the game, and I'd like to apologize to Azir Cave. It is not the worst map in the game. But the good news is more maps are coming for free, which is great, but at launch, the maps feel very limited in scope. Now let's move on to weapons. I have a question for you guys. What is the best or most overpowered weapon in Modern Warfare? I couldn't tell you, so I feel like that's a really good sign, meaning that the weapons are all balanced. I feel like every weapon in this game is viable. We'll see if that changes when everyone levels up their weapons and gets more attachments for them, but I feel like that's a nice segue to go into attachments, and the system for attachments in this game is way more important than it has been in any other Call of Duty. And that's because of how many attachments you can unlock and put on your weapons in this game, and every single attachment has a pro and con to it, except for the perks on the weapons, which are just a net positive. And there's a lot of decisions to be made in this system, and I think it's going to take a long time to figure out how to properly run your class setups. I mean, at least it's going to take me a while, but back in the day, it used to be pretty simple. You just threw on 1 or 2 attachments. Now you got 5 attachments you can put on a weapon, and there's way more. It's going to be a lot bigger learning curve, and I think this is going to help add to the replay value of the game. Now moving on to kill streaks. I'm not a fan of the system at all. First off, kill streaks don't loop, which is an archaic form of COD, meaning you have to die in order to get your kill streaks again, which is just ludicrous. Then you have to put on a perk to change them to score streaks, or you have to put on a perk to make your kill streaks count towards your next streak. Honestly, the game should just have one of those functions in it to begin with, and there should be no need to waste perk slots on those 2 things. But now into more positive areas of the game. The camo system is actually really cool because you can get over 100 camos on each weapon, and it seems that you're always working towards something in the game. There's a bunch of different challenges for camos rather than just headshots to get all of your camos like in the past. And then also, combat records are thankfully in the game, as well as leaderboards. I have no idea why Treyarch didn't have them in Black Ops 4, but I can definitely say that that's a good thing. So to conclude my initial review of Modern Warfare, I think the game has a solid core, but needs to make a few adjustments for it to reach its full potential. I think the game will improve immensely with better maps, which will happen with the influx of remastered maps from MW2 and MW3. Then I believe they need to add dead silence as an actual perk or reduce footstep volume. Then they definitely need to fix the minimap, which might be the biggest issue in the game, by enlarging it and making red dots show up when non-suppressed weapons are fired. Then lastly, they need to at least make kill streaks a loop so you don't have to die to reacquire them. All in all, I have high hopes for the future of Modern Warfare. Thanks for watching the video. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.
You have to be level 20 to unlock it.
They told me that this thing.
Oh, there's 5 enemies now, by the way.